Oh, you start? Do I?
Yeah, take a seat.
Yeah,
Take a seat. Take a seat.
Do I hit it now? When do I hit it? Yes. Okay, I'm not going to hit it then. Hi everyone, welcome to this ASB meeting. Just a reminder, if anyone has any questions, just stick your card up, and if you're joining us on MS Teams, I guess put your hands up. Is that normal practice? Excellent. So just a reminder that only students can put questions up throughout this meeting. So people who are not students, just don't do it. Just a reminder that all the motions which are going to be presented today, they're not going to be voted here. They're going to be voted at the all-student vote, which opens online tomorrow and ends on Friday. So to be more precise, Tuesday, 17th of May, 9 a.m. and closes on the 20th of May at midday. You can do that on the SU website. And yeah, so just a reminder as well that if anyone wants to register a campaign, they must email the student voice team, that's democracy@worksu.com, by the end of this meeting. And you can, run a campaign against or for a motion. And just to note, we hope this meeting will end by 7 p.m. And by the looks of around here, it probably will end by 7 p.m. So that's good to know. So moving on to the next agenda item, does anyone have any questions for the full-time officer as opposed to the officers who are meant to be here? No one? Excellent. Fantastic. I guess we can move on to the motions for all student votes. So, hi, James. So just to outline, there'll be two motions which will be voted on at the meeting. First of all, it's the Save Your RLT motion and the Wellbeing Strategy Review. That is the first one, right? Okay, so I guess we can move on to the first one. So the first motion is Save the RLT, halt staff evictions and protect campus welfare support. So is there anyone who would like to speak for the motion and give any statements? Yes, Mr. James Hart.
Yeah, if you come where Chief's sitting, just give it just so you're on the camera as well.
There you go.
Marvelous, thank you. Right, I'm in position. Fantastic. All good. Excellent. So, yes, the Residential Life team has been in operation since the university, I believe, was founded in 1965. And throughout that time, its role has been to provide support 24 hours a day to students living on campus. So, at any point of the day, a student can contact their local resident tutor, sub-warden, deputy warden, warden, etc. for support with pastoral issues, or with maintenance issues, or with indeed any other kind of issue they may face on campus. And because of the nature of the organisation, because it is volunteer-based, providing RLTs accommodation on campus in exchange for their service, it is excellent at providing all the sorts of support that students need in their day-to-day lives while living at Warwick. And unfortunately, the university doesn't seem to quite appreciate and understand the nature of the work the Residential Life team does. And so on the 22nd of February this year, after a review by the Director of Wellbeing and Safeguarding, the RLT were told that all staff members of the RLT would be effectively fired going forward. That there'd be no more volunteer-based contracts issued, and that they were replacing the existing system with a new system, the details which were outlined in the motion, although it was rather vague because they, put it very simply, had not thought through the vast majority of the details of what this new system would look like. And so, having been told this, initially, we were told that student RLTs would be able to remain in our accommodation, which is very important because it's the only way that many people, myself included, are able to do our postgraduate degrees. But then we were told, no, apparently not. No, that changed. And that is emblematic of the situation here, which is that the university did not think through the implications of the changes they are making to the Residential Life team, this replacement with resident community assistance. And so there are a vast number of issues which are outlined in the motion, which they simply have not considered. And in addition, the behaviour towards the RLT has been monstrous, as someone described it. There have been complaints lodged against the Director of Wellbeing and Safeguarding herself for her conduct towards members of the team. And ladies and gentlemen, for that reason, I ask you to support this motion opposing these changes to the Residential Life team for the sake not only of showing support for members of the teams that exist, but also to all students going forward who will suffer from the lack of support provided by the Residential Life team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And any statement against the motion? No. Anyone want to make any comments about the motion? We do summary speeches. Okay. James, do you want to do a summary speech? Yeah, why not? Come back down. Oh gosh, yes. Yeah, well, that's good.
Thank you. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, that was a very quick debate. This motion was passed unanimously by the student council. It's agreed by all groups, despite the number of divisions there often are in council. On this matter, we were all completely in agreement that the university's handling the situation has been atrocious, that the replacement system is not fit for purpose, and indeed, from the level of advertising that the university has been forced to do, we strongly suspect that the appetite for students in the future to join this replacement residential community assistant position is not there. And so the danger that we face now is that going forward into next year, we will be without the residential life team, because even those who are theoretically eligible to stay on with the current RLT, most likely not going to. The vast majority of the team will have left, be they staff, part-time students like myself, or indeed full-time students who, because of the implications of the position, are not able to continue in this new version. We'll be left without the current experienced team, but also with perhaps not even a skeleton crew for the replacement service, because they announced this so late in the year that students second years going into third year, who are the main body who is supposed to make this up, will have already found, of course, their accommodation for next year and won't be willing to sacrifice their plans in order for this experimental system. And what's more, even those who are eligible likely have seen the details and aren't interested. And so the danger here, ladies and gentlemen, why we are so committed to opposing the university's changes to the residential life team, is that it risks leaving the entire university high and dry in a time when, as we shall see from the next motion, the mental health crisis as a result of both the pandemic and the mishandling of wellbeing at Warwick. Thank you. The mental health crisis we face is the worst that I, for one, have ever seen, and indeed even people I've spoken to who have been here for decades have never seen it be this bad. And the policies of the university seem to be making it only worse. And this is a core aspect of that, and that one of the most effective systems for safeguarding and for supporting students at this university is being unceremoniously stripped away, and the replacement is, from everything we've seen, not fit for purpose. So for that reason, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to support this motion and to support us in our campaign against everything the university is doing to worsen welfare at work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I believe we can, so just a reminder that if you want to vote for or against this motion, the voting opens online tomorrow at the 9 AM and closes at midday on Friday. So we're going to be moving on to our second motion, which is titled the Warwick Wellbeing Strategy Review. Does anyone want to make a statement for it? Yeah. Come on, come back down. Just a reminder, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, right? Trying to stay on time this time.
Yes.
Me again. I never guess who wrote this one. But yes, so this motion follows on from the previous one. As more emerged about the details of the RLT situation and about the state of wellbeing in general, we came to realise that there are fundamental problems which the RLT debacle has exposed in the way that wellbeing is handled at Warwick University. And so we are calling for a full review by the university into the wellbeing strategy. So the wellbeing strategy is the official policy for which they set out how the wellbeing of students at the university, both on and off campus, primarily on, is to be handled. And the problem is that we've seen it is not for purpose. Unfortunately, last term, in the second term of this year, we had no fewer than 3 students take their own lives on campus within the space of 3 weeks. This is appalling. I've spoken to friends from other universities, and they all had the exact same expression of what the hell is going on here. And that is the question that we've been asking. And unfortunately, the answer increasingly seems to be that as much as by no means is the situation fundamentally entirely dependent upon Warwick's strategy, or indeed those enacting it, nevertheless, it is clear that what they are doing is not effective. It is clear that the wellbeing strategy is a failure. It is not dealing with this strategy properly. And an example of that is contained within this motion. I apologize for the length of the explanation, but I spoke to a professor of psychology at the university who explained to me this concept, which has been mentioned by the Director of Wellbeing and Safeguarding several times, called learned helplessness. And so the director's understanding was that this comes about when people become reliant on others for their support. And so the director believes that by offering services such as the RLT, such as the mental health coordinators, which she fired several years ago, students will become dependent on these services during their first year at Warwick. Unfortunately, the director has this completely backwards. According to this professor of psychology and indeed to others I've spoken to, in actuality, the entire purpose of providing support, mental health support on campus, is to foster independence, to allow students to go forward with the confidence in themselves and the techniques to preserve their own well-being, to look after themselves. And unfortunately, this is emblematic of the fact that the wellbeing strategy is fundamentally flawed because the very person directing it does not seem to understand the concepts that they are using to justify their strategy. And thus, we're calling for full-scale review. We're calling for a number of other things. Indeed, you can read through the motion and the resolves. And we hope that this will lead to improvements in the future in the strategy of wellbeing at work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone want to make a statement against the motion? No one. Does anyone want to make, any statements or any, raise any points about it? Excellent. So I think we can move on to summary speeches. Oh, no, we got one. No. Yeah, okay. Sure. Okay. Do you just want to make a comment?
Yeah, simple talking.
Excellent. So just a reminder, this is going back to motion 1, which is save the RLT, halt staff evictions, and protect campus welfare support. Excellent. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name's Ev. I'm one of the sub-wardens on the residential life team at Sherborne, similar to James as well, who's also a sub-warden at Roots. So one of the comments that I just wanted to make was what it is that we do. Sometimes a lot of people don't really realise, and I must admit, to many, the RLT is kind of behind the scenes. Many don't really see what we do, but that's why I thought I would comment here and explain what we do. So in just the last 3 weeks, I've dealt with multiple drugs incidents. I had a cardiac arrest in my accommodation. I've also dealt with a student who was almost about to enter into an anaphylactic shock. These are the kind of things that we do witness. So even though what much of the RLT might be seen as by students is this organization that's there to make sure that people aren't making too much noise, we do actually provide a serious welfare support network in which we do actually follow up and check on students when some sort of welfare issue has come to light. Now, that can be anything from receiving a report from community safety as to a student, as to one of our own students and something that's happened to them, or it can be that something that we've ended up being the first to report as well. And the most crucial thing I should probably say about this is that the vast majority of all the incidents that myself and James probably come across are all after 12 midnight. So the idea of creating this 5 till 11 p.m. system and then having the whole system shut down at 11 p.m. is a complete ludicrous idea in our eyes, because it completely shuts down any and all forms of support that students can get, with the one exception being Nightline. And the thing with Nightline is, and don't get me wrong, Nightline is a really important service that we are really grateful to have. But unlike Nightline, us as the RLT, we actually have the ability to make some positive changes by being in the halls alongside the students that we work with. And that is completely going. And one of the things I should say about the new RCA model that they're doing is that Thank you. They're all going to be clustering these RCAs into one particular flat within each hall of residence, which means one block per residence is going to have 12 members of RCA, but then the others will have none. There will be no rapport building with the students, and without rapport, we can't do the job. And if there's no after-hour support, then all the students have support is time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we'll just move on to the next one. We're going to move back onto the second motion, which just to remind everyone, it's the Warwick Wellbeing Strategy Review. Just say again, does anyone want to make any comments about it? No? Does anyone want to make any ask for summary speeches for it? Yes, Mr. James Hart. Just a reminder, 2 minutes.
Yeah, I should do my best. Thank you. Long time no see. So, in summary, regarding the wellbeing strategy, I should speak a little about what we're resolving to do. So it's become clear, many of you may remember the rape chat scandal several years ago, and that highlighted a lot of the deficiencies in the way that the university attempts to handle scandals and situations in general, which is that they try not to draw attention to things, let's say. A more cynical person would say they try to sweep things under the rug. And so what we observed there is that the university was pushed to make reasonable responses, let's say, to the scandal, only after attention was brought to the university by the press, by a widespread awareness of this crisis, of this situation. And unfortunately, it seems a similar thing is going to necessarily get. We've gone through all the channels we realistically can, through the Senate, through the UCU, through the SU, even through direct contact, to try to get the UEB, the University Executive Board that is, to understand that this is not a very good idea. Unfortunately, they keep coming back and saying, oh, no, we're committed to it. Now, there may be rather more untoward reasons to that, but we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and assume it's because they still think it's a good idea, unlike everyone else in the university. However, in order to bring further attention to the crisis that is surrounding wellbeing at Warwick, the Warwick suicide crisis, the mental health crisis, we are vowing to get even MPs involved. So to contact local politicians, local councillors, local members of parliament. There are numerous constituencies which overlap with the university, including that of the Shadow Minister for Further Education and Universities, Matt Weston. And so hopefully with their support, we'll be able to show the university that this is not something that they can simply ignore. This is not something they can sweep under the rug. They can no longer pretend these things don't happen and hope that the students live in blissful ignorance, because clearly that is not doing anyone any good. And so in summary, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to support this motion to call for review and to assist, hopefully, in gathering as much information as we can on the true state of wellbeing at the university at the time, so that we can inform the university as to how they need to make changes going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I guess we can move on to any other business. So, any other business? Not even you, Jack? James? I know you're playing games on your phone, but no worries. All right, so thank you for coming. Just to let you know, the next all-student vote will be the next academic year. And yeah, I thank everyone for coming, and yeah, I wish everyone well with the exams or whatever assignments. And I'll hit this.